Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. Early in the morning, just as day is dawning, he picks up all the post bags in his van. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Everybody knows his bright red van. All his friends will smile as he waves to greet them. Maybe you can never be sure there'll be knock, ring, letters through your door. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man.
Boom, 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 boom. What a lovely day, said Pat to Jess as they drove along the valley on a fine sunny morning. They came into the village and stopped at the post office as they did every day to collect the letters. Good morning, Pat called. Morning, Pat, said Mrs. Goggins. Looks like a busy day for you, lots of letters and parcels. Well, at least it's a nice day for it. That's odd, said Mrs. Goggins. Most of the post seems to be for Katie and Tom Pottage. Ah, but of course it's their birthday. Oh, so it is, said Pat. Won't they be excited when they see all these parcels? They are lucky. I remember when I was their age, waiting for the post. Hey, I'd better be on my way. They'll be looking out for me. Well, I'll be off. Goodbye. Boom, 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 boom. Pat was on his way. Before going to the Pottages, he had to call at the village school. Some of the children had arrived early and were playing in the schoolyard. Bill Thompson came running up to take care of the letters till the headmaster came. He always did that because he was the oldest. Oh dear, right in a puddle. Sarah and Lucy Selby asked Pat if he was good at hopscotch because they'd just had new lines painted in the yard. Well, it's a long time since I played, said Pat, but I'll have a go. Let's see now. He was quite good at it. Whoops! Pat was enjoying the hopscotch so much he almost forgot the time. Hey, I'll have to be going. We can't have the post being late, can we? Especially today. Bye-bye, Pat. Goodbye. Pat turned in at Greendale Farm. Katie and Tom saw him coming and ran to meet him. They were so excited they couldn't wait to see what Pat had brought them. They're twins, you see, so it was a double birthday. Pat wished them a happy birthday, then took a letter to their mother. Tom's present was just what he wanted. But Katie didn't seem very pleased with hers.
What's up with Katie?
Asked Pat. She's wrong side out today, said Mrs. Pottage. She's lost Sarah Ann.
Sarah Ann? Is that the little doll she takes to school?
She takes it everywhere. She's lost without it. I don't know what we'll do if it doesn't turn up.
Oh, it's sure to turn up somewhere.
Trouble is, it could be anywhere. We went to see Aunt Alice yesterday and called at lots of places. She could have left it anywhere.
Don't worry, I'll look for Sarah Ann, said Pat. I might come across her. I'm good at finding things, you know. We'll get her smiling again, you'll see. Cheerio.
Come on, Jess. We've work to do. The next stop was the church. The Reverend Tims heard Pat's van coming. There was a card from Cousin Joan on holiday in Mallorca. Pat told him about Katie's lost doll.
Oh, she could have lost it in the church,
said Reverend Tims.
She always brings it. Ah, well, seek and thou shalt find. Let's have a look. Mind your head.
Found anything? Called Pat.
Oh, yes, a bump on the head.
At last the Reverend Tims did find something, but it wasn't Sarah Ann. It was a lady's glove. It had the letters D.T. sewn inside. D.T., said Pat. Dorothy Thompson, that's whose it is, I'm sure. I'll take it along for her. She will be pleased.
Well, I hope Katie's doll turns up somewhere,
said the Reverend Tims. We'll just keep on looking till it does, said Pat.
Thanks for helping. Cheerio.
When Pat and Jess arrived at Thompson Ground, Mrs. Thompson was out with a basket, collecting the eggs. She was surprised when Pat gave her a glove with her letters. "Well, I never," she said. "Where did you find this? I've been looking everywhere for it." Then Pat told her about Katie's doll.
I was looking in the church for it. The Reverend Tims found your glove instead.
Now, let me see. Katie and her mother came to tea yesterday. She could have left her doll under a cushion. We'd better have a look. They searched everywhere. Mrs. Thompson found something, but it wasn't a doll. It was a penknife. "Hey, that looks like Ted Glenn's knife." "Goodness knows when he left it here," said Mrs. Thompson. "Would you take it along for him? He will be pleased to have it back." "Yes, I'll take it." "I do hope you find Katie's doll." "We'll keep looking. See you tomorrow. Cheerio." "Bye-bye, Pat." "What a day," said Pat to Jess. "We found a glove and a penknife but no Sarah Ann. I wonder if there's any chance of finding her at Ted Glen's. Ted Glen was delighted to see his knife. He couldn't guess where Pat had found it. When Pat told him about Katie's lost doll, Ted said,
Hey, she was here yesterday with her mother. They brought a lamp to repair.
So they went to look in Ted's workshop. They didn't find the doll, but Ted found a watch that he'd forgotten he had.
Enjoying yourself, Pat?
That's Miss Hubbard's, he said. She brought it to be mended ages ago. She must have forgotten all about it. Would you take it for a Pat? Certainly. I'm going that way. I hope you find the lassie's doll, said Ted. So do I, said Pat. I seem to be able to find everything else. Bye, Ted. So long, then.
Miss Hubbard was shopping at Sam's mobile shop, whilst Sam was enjoying a cup of tea. Miss Hubbard was surprised to see Pat, and even more surprised to see her watch. Pat told them all about Katie's lost doll, but they hadn't seen it.
Poor Katie, said Pat, and on her birthday, too.
I know. I'll take her a box of chocolates. That'll cheer her up.
Aha! Sarah Ann. So that's where you've been hiding all this time. It's Katie's doll, said Pat. I found her when I wasn't looking for her, sitting behind the chocolates. Sam was amazed. That child gets everywhere. I'll take the chocolates anyway, said Pat. They'll make a nice birthday present. Cheerio!
Here she is, Jess. Keep an eye on her. When Pat arrived at the twins' party with Sarah Ann and the chocolates, Katie gave a big smile, the first that day. Jess joined in the party, and Pat had a piece of cake.
Delicious, said Pat, but it's time we were off. Bye-bye, Pat. Bye. Goodbye, everyone. Have a good time.
Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. Early in the morning, just as day is dawning, he picks up all the post bags in his van. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Everybody knows his bright red van. All his friends will smile as he waves to greet them. Maybe you can never be sure there'll be knock, ring, letters through your door. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man.
What lovely weather for people on holiday, said Pat. Every summer, lots of visitors came to Greendale to walk in the hills and camp in the valley. They were talking about the visitors when Pat arrived to collect the day's post.
Morning, Mrs. Goggins. Fine day.
Morning, Pat. Yes, and a busy one too. Plenty of post for the visitors. The Jacksons are staying up at Birkhow Cottage. There are some letters for them, so don't forget the extra call, will you, Pat? Oh, yes, and there's a registered letter for those campers up at Southlands Farm. They'll have to sign for that. I do hope you catch them in. And a parcel for Granny Dryden. I wonder what that can be.
It's a busy time with all these people on holiday, said Pat. I'll be glad when it's my holiday.
Have a good day, Pat.
I will. Cheerio. Morning, Miss Hubbard. Morning, Pat.
Pat delivered his letters all along the valley. At Birkhow Cottage, the Jacksons were away, but someone had left the gate open. And something unfortunate happened. By the time Peter Fogg found the sheep, it was too late. When Pat arrived with the letters, he saw the sheep in the garden and decided to help. He'd chased sheep before. What a mess,
said Peter.
I don't know what Mr. Jackson will say.
It isn't your fault, said Pat. People should close gates properly. I bet they won't do that again.
No. Anyway, thanks for helping. Cheerio.
The next stop was at Granny Dryden's cottage. She was so pleased to see her parcel, she opened it there and then. It was her new catalogue from Manchester. It was full of pictures of things to buy.
Is there anything you'd like to order?
Let's have a look. Ah. He chose a digital watch with a musical alarm.
That's a funny watch. It doesn't look like a watch at all to me.
Oh, it's a good one. It's a good one. It doesn't even need winding. It'll help to keep me on time. Goodbye.
Pat was on his way. He had to go up the hill to Intake Farm with a letter for George Lancaster. George didn't often get letters, so he was very pleased to see this one.
You'll be passing the campers, won't you?
Said George.
Could you take 'em some eggs?
Yes, that's all right. I've got a letter for them, so I'll have to stop there anyway. George went for the eggs. What beauties, said Pat.
I must take care not to drop them, especially as they're all in one basket. Cheerio! Hello? Anyone at home? That's a nuisance. They must have gone off for a walk. Well, I can tuck the eggs under here. They'll be all right. But what about this registered letter? I can't leave that. It looks too valuable, and they'll have to sign for it. I wonder if Miss Hubbard knows where they've gone. Miss Hubbard's cottage was just across the field, so Pat walked over to see if she was at home. He was lucky. She'd just cycled back from the village. Pat told her about the special letter. She knew where the campers were, all right. They've gone off to see the Gategill waterfalls, she said. They asked me the way this morning. Oh dear. That's at least 6 miles, and my van can't go along that old track. I'll borrow a tractor from the farm, said Miss Hubbard. I can't drive a tractor. Don't Don't worry, I can. And off she went for the tractor. Pat wasn't sure that he wanted to ride on a tractor, but there was no other way. So he climbed on and off they went. It was a very exciting ride, and a rough one in places.
Hold on tight. Oh, that hurts. Oh, heck. Oh! Oh, hey up! Careful! Only 2 more miles to go. Oh, thank goodness for that.
Pat was glad when they stopped, but when he climbed down, he was almost too stiff and sore to take the letter to the campers. And then they had to go all the way back again. Pat was glad when at last he got back to his van. But what was Jess looking at in the back? It was one of George Lancaster's hens. It had got in somehow and laid an egg. "She'll have to stay there until tomorrow," said Pat. "But the egg, the egg will do nicely for my tea." Pat was on his way home when he spotted a sheep stuck in a fence. So he stopped to let it out. "I think that's my last job for today," he said. And off he went. He waved as he passed the Thompsons. They were still hard at work haymaking.
Goodbye, Pat. See you tomorrow.
Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. Early in the morning, just as day is dawning, he picks up all the post bags in his van. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Everybody knows his bright red van. All his friends will smile as he waves to greet them. Maybe you can never be sure there'll be knock, ring, letters through your door. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man.
Ooh, another nasty day, said Pat. Jess looked out at the rain. He hated wet days.
What a day. Wet letters, wet everything.
It was still raining when Pat reached the village post office.
What dreadful weather. Just look at these letters. Imagine them getting so wet just being posted. It's like a wet wash day.
I see what you mean. Never mind, they'll soon dry.
You'd best watch out for floods up the valley. There's more rain forecast, you know.
Don't you worry, Mrs. Goggins. The post will get through. Oh, it stopped raining. Cheerio. Pat was on his way. What a dismal day it was. Some people still had lights on indoors. What had happened to Peter Fogg? Pat stopped to find out.
It's this blooming rain. My old tractor's bogged down in the bottom meadow. It's half flooded down there. Then I went and fell in the mud.
You look as if you've had a bath in it.
I just about have. I'm off home for some dry clothes, then I'll get the new tractor to pull the old one out.
Good luck, said Pat. I think it's fairing up now. Cheerio. When Pat arrived at the school, some of the children were looking out to see if the rain had stopped. He was surprised to see Charlie Pringle running out for the letters instead of Bill Thompson. Hello, Charlie. Where's Bill, then?
He's off school today. They say there's flooding up at Thompson Ground. He'll be helping his dad get the sheep in.
Well, don't drop the letters. They've already had one wetting. It's nice to see someone enjoying the rain, thought Pat. Whoops. Hey, watch it. Cheerio. At Greendale Farm, he saw Peter Fogg again. He'd changed his clothes.
Here, Pat. Come and have a look at this. He showed Pat his new tractor with its bulldozer blade.
"This'll shift anything,"
he said. Bet it would, said Pat. Oh, here's your mail. Oh, ta! Bye! The Reverend Tims was having trouble with the rain too.
"Good day, Pat,"
said the Reverend.
"The rain rains on the just and the unjust. Look out."
I'll ask Ted Glenn to bring his ladders and have a look at that roof, said Pat. Bye.
"Farewell, Pat."
Sam Waldron was just along the road.
"Take it steady, Pat,"
said Sam.
"The roads are flooding up the valley."
The old van'll get me through, said Pat. I'll just take a bunch of bananas. The wife loves 'em.
"Thank you."
Thanks, Pat. Jess was glad to stay in the van to keep out of the wet. They were getting into the hills when they saw Mrs. Thompson standing in the road waving to make them stop. Hello, Mrs. Thompson. What's going on? Said Pat. There are terrible floods in the top fields, Pat. And the water's brought tons of earth down and blocked the road. Come and see. Oh, dear me, said Pat. Can't we telephone the village for help? No, the lines are down. Well, can't we walk round it? No, it's too dangerous with these floods. And you could be buried if the land started to slip again. Here comes Alf. He's going to try to get through with his tractor. Do you think you can do it? Said Pat.
"I'll have a jolly good try."
Off he went at top speed. And got stuck.
"It's no good,"
said Alf.
"We'll have to get help somehow."
Then Bill came with his model aeroplane. I know, he said. We can put a message on my plane and I can fly it across to Greendale Farm to get help. It's radio controlled, see?
What a good idea. Clever lad. We'll send an airmail letter. So Pat scribbled a note. S-O-S. That'll do it. He tied it to the plane with a bit of Alf's binder twine. Good luck. Let's hope it gets through. Oh, I think he'll manage it. He's a clever lad. He built it himself, you know. Bill started the engine, and off it flew. Away she goes. That's better than a van. I wonder if I could swap mine for a helicopter. It seemed ages since the plane had gone. Pat was just thinking it must have crashed when he heard a powerful engine coming up the road on the other side of the blockage. It was Peter Fogg on his new tractor with the bulldozer blade. Got your message! Mind your back! Oh. Thanks, Peter. Right! Pat waved Sam Waldron through. There was just enough room. Ted Glenn was mending a wall for Mr. Pottage. Pat had remembered something. Can you go and have a look at the church roof, Ted? The Reverend's got the church full of buckets. I'll pop along when I've finished this wall. Blooming rain. It makes no end of work. Miss Hubbard was on her way to choir practice. I'd turn back if I were you, said Pat. Or you might have to swim home. Swim? Said Miss Hubbard. It'll take more than a drop of rain to stop me. And on she went. I'll be on my way too, said Pat. Cheerio. As Pat wound his way along the valley, it looked like rain again. But there was a warm fireside to look forward to, when all the letters had been delivered.
Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. Early in the morning, just as day is dawning, he picks up all the post bags in his van. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Everybody knows his bright red van. All his friends will smile as he waves to greet them. Maybe can never be sure. There'll be knock, ring, letters through your door. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man.
One morning, Miss Hubbard, who was always up bright and early, was surprised to see Pat's van still outside his house. Goodness me, Pat should be away by now. I wonder what's wrong. Pat, are you there? Pat! Pat! Goeep! You! Pat, it's late! Ah, there you are. Still in bed, Pat? What about the post? Oh, dear. Is it that late? I must have overslept. Wretched alarm clock. Morning, Pat. Must go or I'll be late as well. Pat rushed out without any breakfast. I'd better get my skates on. They'll all wonder where I've got to. Oh, no. My hat. Come on, Jess. Don't just sit there. Oh! What are you playing at, Jess? Do you think you're Postman Jess or something? Come on, let's get moving. What a start to the day. That alarm clock couldn't have gone off. We're over an hour late already. It was past 9 o'clock at the post office. I wonder why Pat is so late, said Mrs. Goggins. Anyway, it gives me time to repair this parcel. Is that him? Oh! It's not my day today, is it? Good morning, Mrs. Goggins. Sorry I'm late. It's that alarm clock. Didn't go off, you know. As bad as this parcel. Just look at it. I do wish people would wrap them up properly. This is a right old mess. Can I help? Oh, my hat. This stuff sticks to everything. Gosh, it's all over my fingers. Ooh, yuck. That's really sticky. Oh, dear, dear, dear. Oh. Oh, dear. You're as bad as me today, all thumbs. There you are. I think it will hold. It's just one of those days, said Pat. Thank you. Wish me luck. I need it today. Hello, there's Ted. That messy parcel is for him. We'll give it to him before it falls to bits. Hi, Ted. Got a parcel for you. Ted! Oh, hello, Pat. Is that my parcel? It'll be those spare parts I ordered. Whoops! Oh, no! Dozens of nuts and bolts, cogs and screws rolled away into the grass. Oh, dear. I'll never find them all. Not in this long grass. Hold on. I'll give you a hand. That's one bit, but what about all the others? Bill Thompson had just set out from home on his way to the village when he saw Pat and Ted searching for something in the grass. "Have you lost something?" he said. "Yes, a lot of nuts and bolts." "I've got just the thing for that at home. I'll go and get it. I'll be back in a minute." "We'll still be here," said Ted. "What's he on about?" said Pat. "Search me." "Is this one of them?" No, looks like a rusty nail." "Like this. Rubbish. We're getting nowhere." "I know. Look, the lad's back already. And he's got a magnet with him." "Hope it's a good one or it won't be much use." "Have you found much?" said Bill. "Well, no, not yet. This is really powerful. Picks up anything metal. You have a try." "Oh, thanks." It started to pick up all the metal bits from the grass, as well as Pat's glasses. "Over here," said Ted. "I hope they're all there," said Pat. "I'll count 'em," said Ted. "Thanks, Pat." "Cheerio." "Ta-ra, Pat. Thanks for your help." "Here's another bit." "Thanks, Bill. That magnet came in handy." "What a day," said Pat to Jess. "We'll never get through at this rate." His next stop was Thompson Ground. Alf was busy mending the barn wall. "Morning, Alf. Sorry I'm late. Got some letters for you." "Just leave 'em on the table. Dorothy's away feeding the chickens. Nothing urgent, is there?" "No, just a few bills." "Oops! Hey up, what you doing?" "Sorry, Alf. Hang on." "Hold it steady! Not that way, the other way." "I said the other way!" "Oh! Ouch! Oh, my hand. Oh, it does hurt. Ah. Oh, gosh, that's painful." "You all right, Pat?" "Oh, dear. Well, don't move. I'll go and get something for it." Just then, Mrs. Thompson came back from feeding the chickens. "Dear me. Whatever have you been up to, Pat?" "Not looking where I was going, I'm afraid. Walking into ladders." "You mustn't make it a habit. Now hold still and I'll bind it up for you. But you won't be able to drive today, you know. You'll have to rest it." "Thanks, but what about all my letters?" said Pat. Just then, Sam Waldron drove his mobile shop into the farmyard. He noticed Pat's bandaged hand. "Hello, what happened to you?" They told him about Pat's accident and that he was unable to drive. "Why don't we put your letters and parcels in my van?" said Sam. "We can do our rounds together." "Yes, and then the post will get through after all," said Pat. "Thanks, Sam. That's a marvellous idea." "Come on, Jess. You'll be all right in there." "Thanks, Alf. That's the lot now."
Bye. We'd better get Dr. Gilbertson to take a look at that wrist, said Sam. It was their first stop anyway. Won't be long. Hello, Pat. Goodness me, what have you been doing? It's my wrist. Come on in, let's have a look at it. Ouch! Is this where it hurts? Ouch! Ah, well, it's not broken. You'll be all right in a day or two. I'll just give you something to soothe it. You'll soon be able to drive. Oh, thanks, Doctor. Cheerio. Bye. No need to worry. Nothing broken.
For twice a week there comes a mobile shop up to the valley. And folks are delighted when he comes around, for it always will save a long journey to town from the valley. The valley. He's always on time as he rings out his chime in the valley. Mothers can plan with a great shopping list. If he cut out his service, oh, he'd be terribly missed in the valley, the valley. Sam Waldron knows what the people will want in the valley. He buys in the town, then he takes things around. All his customers know that he won't let them down in the valley, the valley.
Thanks for the lift, Sam. It's been a funny old day. But tomorrow, well, tomorrow's another day. That's the stuff, Pat.
Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. Early in the morning, just as day is dawning, he picks up all the post bags in his van. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Everybody knows his bright red van. All his friends will smile as he waves to greet them. Maybe you can never be sure. There'll be knock, ring, letters through your door. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man.
One sunny morning, Pat was hurrying along the road with a van full of letters and parcels for the people of Greendale. Suddenly, he had to stop. It was Alf Thompson driving his sheep across the road. Don't worry, Jess. They won't eat you. The sheep went into a field, and Pat was on his way again. His next stop was at the village school. Where is everybody? The children were bringing things to school for a display. Charlie Pringle had a bunch of flowers. Lucy Selby had brought a basket of eggs. My, your hens have been busy. And Tom Pottage had some day-old chicks. Hey, mind how you go. Whilst looking at all these things, Pat had forgotten his letters. But Bill Thompson came along with a cup of tea. "Thank you," said Pat, and Bill took the letters. Sarah Gilbertson came for his cup. "Have you done?" she said. "Nearly." "Thanks, Sarah. That was grand. Goodbye."
Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. Early in the morning, just as day is dawning, he picks up all the post bags in his van. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Everybody knows his bright red van. All his friends will smile as he waves to greet them. Maybe you can never be sure. There'll be knock, ring, letters through your door. Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man.
Pat was getting on well with his round. He locked his van, and as it was a nice day for a picnic, he took his sandwiches to a field on the hill above Thompson Ground. It's been an easy day today. It was so warm that Pat soon fell asleep. Oh dear. But Mrs. Thompson's hens were wide awake, and Pat had left his sandwich box open, with his keys neatly beside it. The noise woke Pat just in time to chase after his sandwiches. And then he turned round in time to see a cheeky hen stealing his keys. Oh, whoops! I must get my keys back. I can't open the van or deliver my letters without them. Oh, so that's where you've got to. Oh dear, it's a long time since I climbed a tree, but here goes. Oops. Pat was just reaching out when the hen dropped the keys and flew off. Now the keys were stuck in the tree, and as Pat was climbing towards them, the branch gave way and... Whoa! Oh! Right in the middle of a prickly bush. Ouch! Mrs. Thompson had heard the commotion and came to see what was going on. Pat told her about the thieving hen. "Dearie me," said Mrs. Thompson, "the little devil. She must think she's a magpie or some such. We'd better get a ladder and see if we can reach your keys."
There'll be no more post today unless we can,
said Pat.
That won't do,
said Mrs. Thompson.
especially when I'm expecting a letter from Auntie Jean to say whether she's coming for Easter or not.
So they went for the ladder.
I'll take it now. They're here, all right. Look, I've got them. There's something else up here. Lots of things. It's like a magpie's nest.
My. He brought everything down to show Mrs. Thompson. There were all kinds of shiny things. There's my wedding ring that went missing last Easter. I thought I'd lost it down the sink.
That's all right. I'll get it down. Mind your head.
As my hens have stolen your sandwiches, you'd better come and have some dinner with me. There's plenty to spare.
That's very nice of you. Pat was glad he'd lost his sandwiches when he saw what a good dinner Mrs. Thompson had cooked. Mrs. Thompson was glad too. She'd got her ring back. But it was soon time to be off. Thanks for the meal. It was lovely. Come on, Jess. Jess. Come on. Just fancy, said Pat. A magpie hen. Who ever heard of such a thing? Pat stopped to tell Sam Waldron about the magpie hen. "It had better keep away from my van," he said. "I wonder if that's where my tie-pin went." Sounds odd. Oh, just needs a clean. When Pat saw Miss Hubbard, he told her about the magpie hen. "Well, I lost a silver earring last month," she said. "And a hat pin. I wonder if they're up a tree somewhere. I must go and see Mrs. Thompson." On the way home, Pat met Alf Thompson on his tractor and stopped to tell him about the magpie hen. Alf couldn't think of anything he'd lost, but he thought it was a good story. Pat had a letter for him. "Oh, one for me. I'll not lose this anyway. Cheerio. Bye." Pat saw some real magpies on the way home and wondered if they had taught Mrs. Thompson's hens to steal. As for Jess, he was asleep.
Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. All the birds are singing, and the day is just beginning. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man. Pat feels he's a really happy man.